Well, hey family, this is Darlene. Want to thank you for stopping by the Jury by BDK YouTube channel. I know you didn't come here for a sermon. So here's the video. And guess what? We'll talk. Well, hey family, happy Tuesday. This is Darlene stopping by real quick. There was a request that came through, and it's one of my older videos. I don't know when I made that video, but in that video, I used some beads that I had wrapped with wire that looked like this. So the request was, can I show you how I did this? And to do this, you got to use 20 gauge wire or thinner wire. And I got a whole spool of 20 gauge wire around here. I just can't find it. So what I am going to do, I done looked everywhere too, and I know it's a brand new spool of 20 gauge because I bought it at Hobby Lobby some time back. I just don't know what I did with it because remember, I don't use a lot of 20 gauge wire. So I'm sure it's probably like in one of these buckets that I haven't looked in, and that's okay because we're gonna go ahead and use some of this wire right here, and it should be like thin enough for me to show you how to wrap the and in this case it's a 25 millimeter bead, and this hole right here has to be a nice size hole, so the bead I would think has to be a bigger bead because that original video was using a 25 millimeter bead, so the hole has to be big enough for you to be able to, you know, wrap the wire around the bead and then be able to close it off. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to take some of this wire off. And remember, 20 gauge wire or thinner is what you need to use because you're basically doing, you know, like a sewing type situation. And if the wire is too thick, it'll fill in the hole. And then you won't be able to put your stretch cord through here, or if you wanted to wire, use it for a necklace and then be able to string it on cord. You want to be able to string it on wire. You want to be able to string it on some cord. If you're going to make a bracelet, you got to make sure that hole is wide open in order for, I'm going to put it to this side. You got to make sure that hole is wide open so that stretch cord, let me see, it's wide open. I just got to figure out how to get it right through. So you want to make sure them holes are wide open on each side for the stretch cord or for the wire. So all I do, this is a pretty long piece of wire. I don't know how long it is. Just let me see. Let me do this for you. And I'm using a 25 millimeter bead. So I got Old Faithful right here, my tape measure. So let's see. It's right there. Then go ahead and stretch it. So this looks like about 33 inches of wire, and I don't even think we're going to use all of this. I don't think so, but I cut about 33 inches. So all I'm going to do is take the bead, put the wire through, and remember it should be about 20 gauge because the thinner the wire the better because you need the space open. And all I'm going to do is take this wire and fold it. And when I fold it, I'm going to wrap it around this piece of wire, bringing that wire right there close. And then just wrap it a couple of times. 1, and then 2, and then we'll cut off that little extra. Make sure it's closed. We can take it back. You can see that. We can take it back. And then we're just going to take the wire, bring it through the bead like threading. And you can see why the wire needs to be thin. And you can use different color wire too, like aluminum wire if you want to do something different. So you're just gonna fold it over, go ahead and thread it straight through. Okay, and then that's what that looks like. And then we're just gonna take it, go ahead and thread it. Nice and tight. And we still got a nice hole up in there so you could see through that hole, you see? So you do want to be able to have a hole. And then we're going to thread it. And then I think we can do, because we still got a nice hole. You see that? You can see right through it. And then we'll do one right here. We might be able to get two more, so let's do this. And remember, the thinner the wire, the more you can leave your hole open. So we got that right there. I'm gonna pull this over. We still got a nice hole so you can see right through there, as long as we got enough space to put our wire through or our stretch cord. And I'm gonna do one more and fill this part in right here. So we'll do that. Put it right against the side. And then pull it through. Make sure we can see, we can still see right through it. You can see that. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire and right here up at the top, see if I got some space to put this in here. Sometimes you got to lift that little wire up right here. Let's see if I can maybe lift it. Just a little bit. I only need to lift it just enough to put that wire over there. Yep, like that. And then we just want to wrap it. Make sure you pull that wire and then go ahead and turn it. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and clip this wire. I got it wrapped around. And I just want to be able to fold it. That little piece, I want to be able to take it up under. Just kind of take it and fold it up under that wire like that. Press it down. That gives me another wrap, and I got just a little bitty extra piece. I clipped that off. Let's see if I can get it off. That little extra piece. And then once you start doing this, you'll figure out nice ways to be able to close. I think I scratched the, and be careful that you don't scratch the wood and stuff up here. So this right here, I'm going to see if I could just close it down just a little bit by pressing up against it. And then you want to take a pair of pliers and just go ahead and squeeze it in like that. Because all you're doing now is opening your hole a lot so you can be able to put your so if you wanted to use these beads to make a necklace and you use wire, now your wire will go through. So you'll have a couple of these where your wire will go through. This one I need to open up more. Okay, so if you were making a necklace, you can see how you would be able to use these beads, and just make sure if they close, open, I mean, you know, spread them like they should be spread. And then this is what they would look like right here. So this one I didn't put as much wire on it. And you notice I cut about 33 inches, I said, but this is a whole lot of wire still left, so you can see how. And I always like to cut more than less. So I can still use this wire to maybe make some charms or do something with it. So you can see, even with this, you can use it for a bracelet. Hole is wide open, as it should be. And you can string on, so you can grab you some other beads, start making some type of bracelet. And then you can see how this would be like really pretty just to make a bunch of these, and you can imagine. And then when you, either way, just make sure when you fold down here, you're tucking it and you don't feel anything. Like I don't feel anything right here. And when you put the other beads against that bead, depending on what type of bead that you're using, it kind of hides some of the tucked wire right there. So it would be best, let me see, do I got a bead up here? That's kind of like a really huge hole type situation where it would almost sit like this, like where it would almost sit on top of that bead and kind of hide the wire. You can see what I'm talking about. So if this bead had a bigger hole, it can hide. But either way, as long as you make this neat right here, because sometimes you don't even have to wrap it twice like that. And if you're using a thinner wire, which is a 20mm wire, this looks different because this is 18 gauge wire. 20mm wire is so thin that when you wrap it right here and you wrap it neatly, like really close together, like, let me see. Let me show you on here. So 20mm wire, and let's say you're wrapping it and you wrapping it nice and neat right next to each other just a couple of times to close it off. What'll happen is the finish will look like this, but only like maybe with two wraps, 1, 2. So it'll be nice and neat and flat because the wire is thinner. This is 18 gauge wire because I can't find my 20 gauge wire. So this is 18 gauge wire. So what happens is when I fold it and wrap it right here, it looks bigger. It's gonna look bigger because it's thicker wire. But when you use the thinner wire, this all right here will be nice and neat and pretty, and you can't even see it. So even with that, you can still hide it if you want to hide it by using beads that have bigger holes. I'm gonna put this on here that have bigger holes. So you can come out with something like this, like a bracelet or a necklace, and this is what the beads will look like. Just like that. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. And in fact, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to use some of this wire. This is 18 gauge. Where did I finish it off at? Right here. See if I can get the wire. I don't even need all this, but since it came off, we're just going to go ahead and use it. So we're going to do one more. We're just going to take our wire, go ahead and fold it, and then the longer part of the wire, we're just going to take the short, I don't think I did it right, hold on. Okay. So now we'll take the short part and just wrap it around that wire a couple of times, like 1 and then 2. And then we'll cut off the extra. This ain't gonna fly because it's thin. Well, not thin, but it just ain't gonna fly. Close it, make sure it's nice and closed and you don't feel anything. And you're not gonna take the wire inside, because watch this, if you take the wire inside, so we just wrapped it, and you can see that it's sitting on top of the bead. So we're not going inward, because if we go inward, it's going to take the knot inside the hole. That's not what we want. We're going outward like this. So we're going to bend that wire back because we don't want this knot inside that hole because it'll cause a blockage. So all you're going to do is take the wire, wrapping it backwards. Now we're going to thread Put that wire through, and then we'll just keep taking it back. Now we're just going to thread it again. And then I got my thumb on this wire right here so it stays. Okay, and wrap, and it's basically like sewing. So then we wrap, put our thumb on the wire, put that wire through the hole, thread it. Okay, and I can still see my hole is nice and open. You can see that. And then put our wire through. Go ahead and thread it. This would be nice too though, with a bunch of, not a lot, but some type of the gold flake sparkles just kind of on it, or even with the paint. And then wrap the bead with some wire. Okay, and then that'll be the last. Wait, let's see if we can do one more. We should be able to do one more, and I can open the hole. So let's do this one. Okay, one last one, like threading. And then we got that. So you can see what that looks like all around the bead. Okay, and then all we're going to do is find a top up here, the little space, and we'll go this direction right here. Just kind of lift that up a little bit, this meaning lift that wire up a little bit, and then try to get that wire up under it, like that, one. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it around there, nice and neat. And then one more time. And that 20 gauge will be perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. It'll create a nice flatness and everything. Okay, so I cut that, and then I'm going to try to tuck this wire up under like that. And it tucked. Okay, you can, and I'm flattening it because remember it's 18 gauge wire. You can always, and let's squeeze our wire against so we can open the hole. And then you should be able to get it. Okay, so you can see now how you can also, like with the wire, if you want to, you can take the wire and just kind of twist it. And be careful, because when it's the thinner wire, it'll bruise easy. So let's say we just want to, you could even probably do this with your finger if you wanted to. Just kind of twist it, add a little bend to it, and then you add that little bend to it, and it creates even more personality for the beads. So you can see. You can see how nice that, oops, how nice that looks. Hold on. Okay. So you can see how that would look. And then with practice, again, 20 gauge wire, don't forget 20 gauge wire, and everything will be nice and smooth. And this is why I don't use the thicker wire. Using the thicker wire will plug up the hole, and it creates a buildup of wire like right here. But when you use a thinner wire, it works out a lot better. But this gives you an idea about what you can do and how you can do it. So this was a requested video asking how I wrap the 25mm beads with wire. But anyway, Darling Knight for Jewelry by BDK, and guess what? We'll talk.